Okay, the guests on Super Sunday not mincing their words with their opinions about Manchester United so far this season. Not just this season, actually, in general, since the Premier League era began. Paul, I'll start with you. Quite harsh criticism there. Was it warranted to say that this is the worst group of players Manchester United have had?
Yeah, they've had some great teams, so it's not that hard to realise that it's not the greatest team. They've fallen. They've come a long way, but the problem is when they're falling, the other teams like Man City and Liverpool are so much better than before. It's frightening. I think Man United have got to get a big meeting together. They've got to get all the scouts from around the world, because they must have loads, and they've got to get them together and go, right, the next 3 windows, 4 windows, 5 windows, we've got to start looking for the best players. Go and get Sancho. Then go and get someone else. They've already got a very good goalie. They've got a very good centre-half. Lindelof, Maguire's making Lindelof a better centre-half than what he is. You know, you've got Rashford who can improve still. You've got James who's a good player. You know, now going and Wan-Bissaka. They've got some good young players. Go out and buy more young players. Swallow. You got to swallow the next two years. Man United got to swallow and wait for that cycle. Don't go out and start buying a £100 million player, £100 million player. They're a million miles behind Man City. A million miles. £1 billion will probably get them near Man United, Man City. So don't do it that way. Do it so in 3 years' time, when probably Pep Guardiola's gone and a lot of the Man City players are gone, and then Man United rise again. There's got to be a plan. Got to be a plan. They're well behind. But keep on, and that's why I think they might have done. They brought in James, they brought in Wan-Bissaka, they brought in Maguire. Don't tell me they brought them in to catch Man City now. There's got to be a plan. There's ways of losing football matches. We all lose football matches. That wasn't good the other day. That wasn't good. Same
question to you, really, Darren. Do you think it's the worst team that they've had since the Premier League era began?
I don't know if it's the worst team, but I think they're certainly in a bit of an identity crisis at the minute. I mean, as Paul was saying, I agree with him, is that obviously Manchester United are falling, they are slipping, and everyone around them's getting better. Do you know what I mean? You're talking about Manchester City, Liverpool, even now this season surprised Leicester, West Ham. These teams, they're getting better. Arsenal now have obviously finally signed some defenders, so they look like they're on the up. So it's tough to see, but at the same time, there has got to be a plan involved, because at the minute they are spending a lot of money on players that just don't suit the way Manchester United play. I mean, you look at the way the great Manchester United teams, all their players had their purpose. They all understand their roles. They knew how to get the best out of each other. They had leaders. They had character, and that's a bit missing this season. I mean, they've got a lot of young players, but also as well, they've got a lot of who people would suspect are their leaders, not really setting the right example, whether that be on the pitch or their off-the-field antics. And I just think at the minute they've got a lot of very good individuals, but as a team, I just think they're way off the other two, or the others around them, really.
I think they made a mistake with Lukaku.
Yeah, I agree.
I've said it before. You're selling your goals. He's your goal scorer. The hardest thing in football is to score goals. It's all right, Rashford going, you know what, I want to play up front. And you go, all right, you go up front. He's not a centre forward. He needs, you know, he don't want his back to play. Lukaku is a goal scorer, and a big club, and I keep on going, they're the biggest club in the world. You know, you can say they're going like that. They're still the biggest club in the world for me. And to let Lukaku go, it was like, oh, we'll take the money. We'll take the money. Man United don't need the money, surely.
I do think with that Lukaku comment is that I just think, yeah, I agree, I wouldn't have sold him. But if they knew they were going to get rid of him, they should have then done it early, so then they can replace him.
Yeah.
But they kind of let it dwell, fester, and then they sold him, and they've not really replaced him, because I do think Rashford's a very good player, but I just don't know, I think he's got that killer mentality to go in there, get himself in that 6-yard box and put the ball in the back of the net.
No, he's an unselfish player.
Yeah.
He's too unselfish. He's a kind of, you know, you hear people like Ian Wright, you hear Alan Shearer, you hear Michael Owen, top centre forwards, and you hear them say, you know, our team win 4-0, the centre forward didn't score, oh, you'd be gutted. I can't imagine Rashford being like that. I can imagine Rashford being happy as Larry.
Yeah.
Them forwards, and probably you as well, Darren, and you as well, where you'd be devastated. Even though you won 4-0, you haven't got on the score sheet, and that's what you need. You need that in a centre forward, that little bit of selfishness.
There's a problem now as well, whether or not you think that Rashford is the right player to play in that position. He went off with an injury, a groin injury. have they left themselves very light? We spoke about Lukaku going and not necessarily replacing those goals. Martial as well. There's a long list of injuries at Manchester United. Are they going to have to start leaning on the likes of Mason Greenwood earlier than they wanted to?
Yeah, they're going to have to, because there was no contingency plan for, as I said, firstly of all, letting Lukaku go. Now Rashford's gone down with injury, and Martial, I think he's had a few injuries over the years, Martial, and neither of them really, in that centre-forward role, really taking that position by the scruff of the neck and said, right, this is mine, I'm going to show you. I mean, Rashford had a little period when Ole first came in and he was scoring the goals, but he never really consistently says, right, I'm your centre-forward, I'm going to be the guy to score your goal. So they might end up leaning on him sooner rather than later, but is that going to harm his development? Maybe a little bit, because Manchester United are in a transition period, and to lean on someone so young when the club are going for a bit of a crisis, I don't think it's going to help him much.
No, I agree with you 100%.
How much of this is on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's shoulders?
It's hard, you know, the man upstairs who's making all the signings, or who's getting a lot of flack. I don't know if he's the one who's getting it. I don't know. They've got to get together. They've got a group. There's too much happening, you know. It doesn't seem like everybody's pulling in the same way. It seems they're all pulling apart. There's got to be a plan. I know this won't sound right, but I hope the young kid don't get a chance yet, Greenwood, because I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be special. You don't want to be putting a young kid into a bad team, because when you're a centre forward, you're only as good as the service you get. If you ain't getting the service, you ain't scoring goals. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. Do you think it could damage his confidence?
Cool. Not just his confidence, everything, you know, and the pressure's going to be on him. The fans are going to go, oh, you know, Greenwood's in, you know. Solskjaer's just said he's one of the best finishers he's seen. You watch Man United, there's not a plan when you watch Man United. I keep on saying it. You watch other teams play and there's a plan. Man United, it seems to they'll just fall over it and it'll happen. You never see anybody get in the pocket and just slide the ball down the centre half and someone run on and put it in like Man City do, and Chelsea can do it as well with Mount and things like that. You just don't see that with Man United. And I hope the kid don't get in when the team are playing poorly. I really don't, because I think this lad's going to be special.
Yeah.
Another thing that Jose Mourinho said in the studio was that he thinks they're in a worse position than last season. Now, statistically, at this point, he is right. They're 2 points worse off, and they're also a place worse off. When you have a look at the managers that Manchester United have had since Ferguson, for the first 6 Premier League games, the only manager that's actually worse off than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is David Moyes when he took over for the season 2013-14. Can we read too much into this at this stage? Actually, do you need to just give him space and a bit more time and patience, or is patience running thin now?
I think you need to give him more time. I mean, listen, he's only had the job, what is it, just under a year, is it? Or just over a year? And he came in a bad situation and he kind of turned it around quite quickly. This season he's signed some of the players he's wanted to sign, but I'm sure he's not got all the players that he wanted. So I think to keep sacking managers so quickly, I mean, they had one for such a long time. It was so successful, and I know that's rare. Obviously, David Moyes came in, didn't work. Van Gaal came in, that didn't work. Mourinho came in, did okay. I just think you need to start giving managers time. And yeah, I know that fans might get frustrated, but if there is a plan in place, you can't just keep sacking these managers. Like he's bought Dan James, which I think is a brilliant signing. But I'm sure he bought Dan James for later. It's just happened that he's been arguably their best player, and he's had to play him now. So I'd like to think there's a plan in place. And
I think if the manager's job come up, and I don't think it will, Solskjaer will be given time. I don't think there'll be a queue round the block for this job at the moment. I mean, even though it's the biggest club in the world, managers will look and go, wait a minute, I'm a million miles behind. They're a million miles behind Man City and Liverpool as well now, who are their arch enemies. So it's not a great job at the moment. It's not a great job, and I think they'll give Ole a chance. But I hope he ain't made to look the scapegoat. You know what I mean? Allegri is taking a year out. You hope that he's not waiting in the wings. Because you just don't know with Man United at the moment.
You talk about top 6 potentially being a problem if you listen to the guys in the studio, that actually that could be in doubt. There's a big difference between when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer started at that club and where they are now when you look at the away form. So his first 9 games in charge, on the road he won, and then he hasn't won in his last 9, and this will stretch back to last season as well. How much can you read into a statistic like that?
Well, obviously something's gone wrong, you'd have to say. But you know what it's like when a new manager comes in, the place is bouncing. Obviously, he was completely different to Mourinho. The players all bought into it. They're excited about it. He probably let them cannot do what they wanted, but he kind of had a bit of a loose leash on them, and they kind of just expressed themselves. But when things start to go wrong, you don't know how to change it, and it's difficult. And players then start to think, well, this is boring, like this isn't working, and they start to moan, and it can make it look bad. So that statistic there, it doesn't help his cause. And as I said, something got to change. They've had injuries, they've lost certain players, but I just think Man United as a whole at the minute are just struggling what direction they're going in. As I said, they are a big club. I agree, they're the biggest club in the world, but they're just not, as a whole, performing like it, or the way they're addressing their business. It just doesn't seem like the Manchester United I'm used to seeing.
Is it the belief? And Paul, is Jose Mourinho right? Do you think they'll struggle for top 6?
I think there's a long way to go. You got to look, Chelsea are not pulling up trees, even though I thought they played well yesterday. You know, Arsenal not pulling up trees, Tottenham are not pulling up trees. So no, the top two are a million miles away. There's a long way to go. There's six games gone or so. The thing is, when you're an inexperienced manager, which he is, and at a club the size he is, it's a horrible feeling. I was manager at Walsall, which is not even on the same, you know, but when you're not winning football matches, it's horrible. You don't know where you're going to get the next result. The luck don't go your way. And I feel for him because, you know, what he should do is probably go back to, you know, Pogba's not fit. You know, people have a go at Pogba. Pogba's their best player. Don't worry about that. Pogba's their best player. Don't worry about it. He's the one who gets on the ball even when it ain't going well, and he'll give the ball away and he'll get it again and he'll give it away, but he'll keep on getting it. Too many others hide. I feel for the manager because even though I weren't at that level, but I was at another level, when you're losing football matches, you just don't see it changing. No, you just don't. It's horrible.
And they've got some tough games coming up as well. I mean, I think they go to Arsenal next, then Newcastle, and then Liverpool, and even Norwich away. I'm sure they probably would have looked at that fixture at the start and thought, right, we can probably get something there. But the way Norwich are playing, they're not showing anyone any respect at all.